Hello, my friends.
I am Alphinius Goo,
and you are in the Gooey Cube.
Yes. Welcome, my friends. It is good to see you. Tonight, we are going to do our first ever live stream, and I'm very excited about it. Yes, I am. I hope all the technology is working. Is all the technology working, Camera Mandy? Tell me.
Not quite yet.
No, it's not working.
Keep on going.
I should continue. We are working well. All right, I have much belief in this. Yes, we have these gooey goblins out there that are running all manner of technology and all manner of things, and it should be working. I hope you all are doing well tonight. So, this live stream is scheduled for an hour, but I will try to go faster so that I save you time, because that is what I do. First of all, I have a number of questions that we have received from many of you, and this is what I'm going to try to address tonight. Each one of those questions. The first one came from our friend Jim Kenny. And Jim asked, what is the history of Gooey Cube? And I'm pleased to tell you this tonight. Listen, my friends, here's how it happened. Some time ago, in our little advertising agency in Colorado, we determined that we wanted to bring more creativity to our group. And it was fascinating to me that many of our younger creative people, they did not play role-playing games, fantasy role-playing games, outer space role-playing games, whatever it happened to be. They didn't play them. They played a lot of computer games. This bothered me because I believe that in computer games, they are wonderful, by the way, and marvelous. I play them myself. In computer games, we get a lot of it done for us, if that makes sense. People are moved about and the imagination is not really challenged. But my friends, you know this. In fantasy roleplay, yes, there is so much more to the imagination. So much is brought forth, and that aids our creativity. Yes, that is what it does. And so, what I did was to bring them to my home. Yes, a bunch of them. Crazy. Yes, all in my house. All these young people thrashing my place, drinking booze. It was off the hook. I don't think it was very good, honestly, but it was a lot of fun. And they did buy pizza. That made it worth it. Anyway, let me continue. I digress. So what happened was, we played some games. Yes, games that they had never played before. And they were enthralled. Yes, they were excited. They were astounded. They didn't know what most of you know. Yes, my friends, that there is no game like this game. Yes, and so what did we do? We played. And we played, and suddenly all these creative people came to me and said, dude, we need to publish. And I said, you are crazy. You have no idea. So the next thing we did was begin publishing. So that's what happened. This is nearly a year ago now. In fact, it's over a year ago now. The next thing you know, we had created a marvelous campaign. The Red Star Rising. A tale of depth and breadth, with many undercurrents and secrets and mysteries. Yes, and a world, a marvelous world, a corrupted and tainted world called Zyathé. Yes, and that is the genesis of it all. And then we went to Gen Con knowing nothing, absolutely nothing. And people came, and they loved what we brought. And to all of you who are here, because many of you are people who loved what we brought, from all of us in the Goo crew, not in the Goo crew, thank you, seriously. All right, Mr. Kinney, I have answered your question. Now let us go to the next one from Crystal Silverwind. She wanted advice on GMing, and especially in regards to fun encounters and describing the setting in better detail and all this, but it really went to GMing just being a better GM. And so that is what this lesson is all about right now. We are going to teach a little bit about being a better GM, and that starts with Alphinius's 9 principles. Now, if you have read anything that we have put in our materials, which is the philosophy of the games that we run at Gooey Cube, then you will have a nice background in what I'm about to say. But these principles sort of synopsize them, if you will, and this will bring much information to you in hopefully a very short amount of time, not to waste your time, to give you good information. So, first, my friends, I am a tale lover. I am a storyteller, a weaver of this marvelous thing that comes when there is a broad narrative, a deep, like a river, story that is going along. So I believe personally that the first thing you must do is to have a great tale. And that requires some thinking and planning on your part. Yes, It is not something you can just set down and throw out there. At least that's what I believe. So that is the first principle. Have a great story. The second principle, my friends, is to prepare well. Now I am going to tell you, I can make up a game in the spur of the moment very well. I am very confident in my ability to sit down at a table with 7 or 8 people that I have never met before.
And super humble.
What?
I said, and super humble.
I am also super humble, as Camera Mandy just pointed out. I didn't even say that you were behind the camera, Camera Mandy. Say hello, Camera Mandy.
Hello.
I apologize, my dear. You know, I'm nervous. I've never done this before. There's live streaming. Well, I guess I did. But anyway, let's not talk about it. Yes, one time, right?
Yeah.
All right, I will continue. Prepare well. As I was saying, I think I'm pretty good at sitting down at a table and improvising a game. I think I can make it up on the spur of the moment and make it quite interesting. But I'm going to tell you the truth, my friends, unequivocally. If I have prepared a game, if I know the NPCs and their motivations, if I know the main story thread and the plot lines that lie underneath it, the subplots, yes, if I know these things and I have them internalized, if I understand what would happen if the players go this way, or what would happen if the players go that way, my games are better. Number 2 is to prepare well. Yes. Number 3, set up your players. Now, there's an important corollary with this. I had to check it to make sure I wrote it correctly, but I did. This is the first corollary to set up your players well. Do not play with jerks. Yes! Don't play with jerks! It's no good! It doesn't work! It's terrible! They ruin your games, even if they're friends. Sometimes you have to manage that circumstance. Sometimes it can't happen quickly. But if you have jerks at the table, they ruin it for everyone. They ruin it for you. This is a game of enjoyment. This is a game of delight. Why would we want to play with people who ruin it for everyone? So you must make that decision that you're not going to play with jerks. And the second thing is, roleplay is important. So don't short shrift it. Yes, help them to understand why they need to roleplay. Thirdly, make sure that your characters have a marvelous, wonderful backstory, each one of them, that you begin to develop and build, flowering like a rose, if you will, this wonderful, terrible, scary, mysterious thing that each one of your characters will carry for the entirety of the campaign. Yes, this is marvelous. This is what engages them. Because what matters to them is their characters. What matters to them is what's happening to their characters. Too often we get caught up so much in what we're doing as game masters, we don't think about our characters. We don't think about our players. And that is something we must not do. You must always remember, it is about them. Yes, because my friends, we are not a god. No, we are not some master of a table. In truth, first and foremost, we are entertainers. Yes, are we not? Are you not entertained? Yes, of course you are. That is what we do. All right, the next corollary. Know the rules. Yes, my friends, you must know the rules. If you do not know the rules, you will have all manner of problems at the table. However, there's a corollary to that. If you don't know them all, it's okay. If you don't know them all, you just make a quick decision at the table and then fix it later. Don't waste all this time debating. No opening books. And if you've set up your players well at the beginning and told them that this is the way it will be, it will work fine. Yes, the next one, my friends. Have a bag of tricks. Yes, what is a bag of tricks? Yes, my friends, this is the genesis of things like the not-so-random encounter charts that we have created. Yes, because we don't always need to break out a combat in order to make an encounter, or to make a situation around the table interesting or fun. No, we don't need to do that. If we have a bag of tricks, we can have them find something that is interesting. Find something that is scary. Discover a strange clue. Find out a mysterious circumstance. Run into an interesting individual. Yes, all of these things are part of your bag of tricks. And that, my friends, is marvelous. Next, mystery and intrigue are better than combat. Yes, I've said it. Most don't believe this, but I do. Combat is wonderful. I love a good combat. I love all the manner of things going on, and the dice are rolling, and players are sweating, and all that craziness. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But no, mystery and intrigue are better. When they don't know what's happening, when things are going on around them that they don't even know what to do. When they are trying to solve something that means life or death for their characters. When they are trying to save someone who matters to them, and they don't know where they are, and they don't know how to find them. Yes, when they are trying to discover the clues, follow the breadcrumbs, whatever they need to do. This brings so much tension. Yes, mystery and intrigue really are better than combat. I promise you this. Now, what is next? Don't bow to the god of player agency. No, my friends, I must take a drink.
We also have some questions.
Oh, questions coming in. I tell you what I will do. Let me finish this.
Absolutely.
And then we will do questions on this section. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Excellent. All right. Don't bow to the god of player agency. Now, some of you have heard me tell this before, but I'm going to tell it again. Think, my friends, about a certain wizard who was leading a certain fellowship over a certain mountain. Yes, this was the way he chose. This was the way he wanted to go. Yes, and the snow came down as another wizard chanted and moaned and groaned, and they were turned back, were they not? Yes, turned back with only one choice for said wizard. Yes, to go through a certain tunnel beneath a certain mountain where much horror did lie. Yes, we know of this, correct? Well, did that certain wizard throw down his dice and say, I don't have any agency. I don't get to choose. I'm not playing anymore. I'm done. I'm not playing. No! My friends, listen to me. Every great tale and story, every one of them, the protagonists have all manner of things done to them that they don't want to have done to them. Yes, totally out of their control. Do not bow to the god of player agency. We want to give our players choice. Yes, we wanted them to have the opportunity to be able to choose their fates. But my goodness, they do not need to be able to run all over the place with no consequences, no problems, no issues, and never have anything done to them. Sorry, big tale, big story, big bad things happen. You get it. All right, my friends. A corollary to that one, but it is my number 8 point. Choice is an illusion. Yes. Let me give you an example of choice being an illusion. Your map is but a guideline. Yes. Perhaps they are going to go north on the road, or perhaps they are going to go south. It does not matter to me, because whether they go north or whether they go south, they are still going to run in to the strange castle that they must infiltrate. Yes, I place it afterwards. I don't place it beforehand. No, it comes wherever I want it to come. And if they miss a dungeon, I use that dungeon later. Yes, choice is an illusion. That does not mean we do not give them choice. But we control the choice so that we are not going crazy, running around all over the place trying to make all kinds of things that we throw in the garbage can every time they don't go the way we want them to go. Ha ha! Marvelous, is it not? Is not a light bulb going off in your head right now? You're like, oh my goodness, he's right. I don't need to put everything on the map exactly where it's going to be. I need to put it where I want it to be when the players go by there, or pass near there, or whatever it happens to be. Say it. You're brilliant, Alphinius. Right, Camera Mandy?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh so loud. But yes, brilliant.
Thank you. Lastly, my friends, the number 1. Be enthusiastic. Yes, do not be afraid to stand up behind the screen. Do not be afraid to walk in front of the player when the orc is coming into his face and go, Arr! Do not be afraid to wave your arms and make noise. Yes, it is your game. Make it wonderful. Make it exciting. Make it dynamic. Yes, those 9 principles, my friends. If you follow them just at the top level, your games will be better, I promise. But if you dig deeper, they will be even better than that. I'm Alphinius Goo, you're in the Gooey Cube. Let's take some questions.
Awesome. First off, I just want to say thank you to all the very nice comments that we have coming in. We really appreciate it.
Love you, love you.
Okay, so let us start with, do you as a GM use lingering injuries or other extra charts in the DMing to make your game more gritty?
So, in certain circumstances, I will do so, especially in the situation when a player has actually been not killed, but almost killed, right? As a certain movie said, he was only mostly dead. You get this, yes? So in those situations, I will sometimes maybe take a little bit away from that player for a certain time, at least until that player is able to get some rest, even if a healer has been able to put healing upon them. However, I do not punish them too much, because they already have had to use the healing spells, have had to go through the problem of actually being laid down, expended all that energy and such. So I tend to use it judiciously, but so the answer is sort of. Is that fair?
Fair. What can you do when there is no healer or the healer is dead? Do you change monster stats?
Listen to me, my friends. Everything in my game is variable. Yes, I'm going to tell you the truth about the game in terms of math. Anyone who knows statistics, any one of us who knows statistics, knows that the game is stacked entirely against the players. Yes, entirely. You say, no way, it's not possible. Hold on, I need a drink.
Cheers!
Cheers. So, the game is stacked against the players. How? Because, my friends, the game master, you, me, any game master, is like a casino. They have all the money. Yes, all the payola, the cashola, the moolah. Yes, they've got it all. The player has only one player character. Yes, you see this now. One night. There is no question. One day, whatever it is. Over time, there will come a period where the GM will roll like fire and the players will roll like ice. And they will all die. Yes, they will all die. Now, I'm coming to your answer to your question. But you have to understand this first. All right? We, as players, as GMs for our players, must manage that. We must manage that because the game is truly stacked against them. I do my best to push the characters right to the edge without taking their lives. That is always my goal. And my players trust me that is what I am trying to do, not trying to kill them. That changes the entire dynamic around the table. However, I will kill them. And they know that will happen if they do something foolish, if they make a mistake, or even if perhaps the dice go against them sometimes. Now, often, I will offer interesting alternatives to bring them back. Now, to answer the healer question, I do my best to provide for my player character parties healing opportunities that are outside the scope of just a cleric. The reason that I do this is I want clerics to have some latitude to not feel like all they have to do is heal all the time, because some players playing clerics would prefer to have the options to do more things. That is wonderful. That is marvelous. We want to give them that agency. We want to give them that ability. So, perhaps a stone of healing that is held by the rogue. No, don't let the rogue. No, I take that back. Never let the rogue hold anything. It's a mistake. That is held by the warrior. The warrior has... No, don't let the warrior hold it. He's always in front. Held by the wizard. Yes, of course, held by the wizard. The stone of healing. Now the stone of healing can be used by anyone. And that takes pressure off the cleric to always have to carry healing spells. This is a marvelous technique. I use it all the time, and it is wonderful for games. Does that help? All right, next.
What is the best way when a player comes out of left field with an idea that derails the campaign?
No, I understand the question.
Okay.
So, I guess it would help me to understand the corollary to that. Whether they are in-game in that exact situation and they do something really crazy, like kill the innkeeper and his wife for absolutely no reason. In my games, these things have terrible consequences. just as they would in real life here. See, this is the understanding of agency to ridiculous levels. Agency to ridiculous levels would have them all be like Bonnie and Clyde, with huge numbers of people chasing them wanting to gun them down with machine guns, which is basically what happened. Yes. So, in my games, these things don't tend to happen as much. But I'm telling you this. I tell a tale with my players, not for my players. And if they come up with something marvelous, and they often do, yes, it will come in. I may not be able to deal with it that night in particular. I might have to improvise something that night. But when I go back, I will bring it. And I want to tell you the corollary to that. They never can really derail the entire campaign. They could perhaps send it on a little off course for a bit, but you can always bring it back with a little creativity and a little thought. I never lose my campaign. I never lose my story. But my subplots can go all over the place, and that is okay. In fact, it is better, because that is giving those characters this wonderment, this opportunity to grow. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
All right.
Do you want to do the next?
I will. Have we got any more questions?
I do have a few more questions, if you want to keep answering.
Why don't we do them? Let's make sure we catch everyone up.
Sounds good. Okay. How would you play a false Hydra in a campaign?
A false Hydra? As in, I need some help with that. Please give me some clarification when you mean a false Hydra. Is that some monster that I am unaware of, or is that like a pretend, some kind of a help me with that, because I'm not familiar with all of the monsters in the game. So you have to help me with what a false Hydra is. So let's put that to the table till they can send back another question.
Okay.
Or a complimentary ad. Yes, follow up.
Okay. Have you ever regretted giving a player an overturned magic item?
Well, I must tell you that when I've done these things, and I have, usually something happens to those magic items. I just don't want a table where everyone is going for min-max in the first place. So I try to set that up with my players ahead of time. I say, let us tell a story together, let us tell a tale, and in fact, sometimes your weak character could actually bring more to the table than the powerful ones. Now, that is not saying that I want characters to be weak. I don't. In fact, if any of you who have gotten the Darkest Dream, you have seen our first level player character pre-gens. Yes, you have seen these, and you know that they are quite powerful. I actually love starting characters quite powerful at first level. But there are times when it just gets ludicrous. Most of the time, I will not be unfair in the removing of that weapon. Usually, I will talk or item. Usually, I will speak with the player beforehand, and most of the times in these circumstances, they give it up voluntarily. In fact, sometimes we come up with a little story together about what happens to it, and the rest of the table doesn't know about our little story, and they're all enthralled by that little story, and the player and I get to tell a little secret together, and it's quite marvelous. If you have a player who absolutely won't give it up, I must tell you this, you gave it to them. So sometimes you have to live with the consequences and do the best you can to make up for it on the backside, if you will. Does that make sense?
Okay. How do you prevent metagaming? Also, in turn, how do you encourage roleplay?
Well, first of all, I always roleplay. Or most of the time, that is. So that helps. I also always try to get my stronger role players to encourage role-playing with the not-so-strong role players. That's a very important thing. But it's also good to talk about role-playing and why it's important when you're not sitting at the table gaming, right? This is the setting up of your players ahead of time. Help them to develop that character. That helps them to role-play that character. This is not perfect in all instances, and we must understand something. Sometimes, at a table, we will have a marvelous player who does many wonderful things, thinks well, helps solve puzzles, helps do interesting things, brings much to the table. They're just not a great role player. And they pretty much talk in their normal voice, right? I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think it's sometimes just okay. Ha-ha! Yes, I do! Let us continue.
Okay, we have a follow-up from Shay.
Okay.
A false Hydra is a character that feeds off a town's life force and leaves the town a barren husk.
Oh, whoa! I must read up on this. Ha ha! I would say that I cannot answer this for you right now, but I would sure like to think about that. That is marvelous. That is like, long ago there was a movie about a terrible virus that overcame a town. Yes, and into the town came some scientists, basically wearing spacesuits. And it was eerie. It was strange. This is marvelous. How would I play that? Goodness gracious. I'm going to think about that. You send me a message on the Facebook, or send me an email. By the way, my email is Alphinius, ALPHINIUS .goo, Goo, at gooeycube.com. Yes, I would love to talk about this a little. That is marvelous.
Awesome. With items that doesn't show magical abilities, such as the cosmic necklace, is it logical to use it to play a secret or make it powerful?
So, with any of the items that we have provided, you may do whatever you like with them, truly. If you wish to add something to that little cosmic pendant, I probably would. Yes, I might. I might not have it even be discovered for a couple of game sessions, maybe longer, maybe chapter 3, maybe it brings some secret later. See, this is the wonderment of what you can do with something that little. It's a marvelous question, by the way. This is a marvelous question. You take something so small, like an innocuous item that really doesn't have any powers other than it shows these marvelous little stars and such, and all of a sudden, in chapter 3 or chapter 4, it becomes mightily important. Marvelous. Yes, of course. Do these things, especially as they relate to your character backstories. The biggest thing you don't want to do, though, is to create too many major threads that overcome your primary storyline. You don't want to get too far off of any of those. You want to keep them all kind of in the general vicinity, if you will, of your tale. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So we have one more question, and then we're going to go back to reading.
Marvelous.
We are putting his email address in the comment section, and we always want you guys to feel like you can email us.
Isn't Camera Mandy wonderful? Give her a hand.
I'm embarrassed.
What?
Alphinius.goo or
Alphinius.goo, Goblin. Get it right.
This is a good question.
Yes.
I have a hard time improvising conversation as NPCs without being drunk. How do I get better without pickling my liver?
Well, first of all, you shouldn't pickle your liver. All right, that's the first thing. But a little sip now and then isn't bad. Now, I will tell you that practice always makes perfect. And this is another thing that we must all understand. We can't sit down behind the screen for the first time and be a quality game master the way someone who has been doing it for 30 or 40 years can be, especially if that person has tried to hone their craft. Now, some people get stuck and they don't continue. They don't want to learn more. They don't want to gain more. I'm telling you, I look at videos all the time. I read blogs. They are marvelous. They give me information. They teach me things. We must be lifelong learners as game masters to improve our games. You asked about improvisation in regards to making it better for you interacting with players. I gave you a couple of hints. I would love for you to send me an email and we can talk more about it, because I apologize for this lagging time that we had with our technology. Darn. Let us move to the next thing, which is improvisation. So we will continue on all of that. So I told you that I don't believe entirely in improvisation of game. I don't believe that because for most of us mere humans, it's nearly impossible to truly improvise a deep and abiding tale, one that runs along like a river but has rivulets that come off, backstories and secret stories and plot twists and underplots. Yes, that is very hard to do in an improvisational environment. It's also very difficult to improvise many different non-player characters. This is also a very different thing. So the first thing I will tell you about improvisation is that being prepared helps improvisation. If you don't mind, I will use an example from our first chapter, which is The Darkest Dream. In The Darkest Dream, there are many non-player characters. If you were trying to make that up as you went along with just a few bit of notes, I think it would be very difficult to do. but having portraits with notes on the back of each one of them, having read hopefully the story a couple, 3 times ahead, having gotten their motivations and understand what they're doing, makes improvisation easier. What is this? Oh, look! Myron the Ugly Troll. Yes, portraits such as these. Now, many folks get these off the internet. This is why we include them. We include them because you don't have to get them off the internet. No searching. And that helps, because they've got a little explanation on the back. You see? Yes. Let us continue. Session 0. So, I believe in Session 0, which is the beginning of any game, that it is very, very important. So Session 0, you have to plan a little bit ahead of time. Do not just go into it and say, hey, I'll roll a bunch of dice. Because if you set the stage right at the beginning, many of the things we have already talked about will come to fruition. Now, let me tell you some principles. Principle 1 for my Session 0 is characters first. Now, what does that mean? First of all, you must understand what kind of characters, sort of what the base feeling that your player has, what they want to bring to the table with their character. You must understand that because hopefully, if you follow my principles or my thought processes on this, they're going to weave together. Yes, they're going to come together, all right? So, we figure out very well what these characters are going to be. We understand their class. We understand their motivations, their frustrations, perhaps a little bit about their history. However, I'm going to tell you this. Sometimes I modify that. Because in Section 2, I'm going to set the ground rules with my players. First of all, I'm going to tell them I don't run murder hobo games. I don't like them. I've done them many, many times. I've grown past them, at least in my mind. And that is not to throw shade on people who love them, because they can be fun. A bunch of chaos and craziness, this can be marvelous. For me, however, I don't want to run them anymore. I want to run more tale-based games. So I tell them this. I said, we're going to be part of a tale, which means you've got to help me a little bit to tell that tale together. So I set some ground rules first, okay? Now, you must understand this. For the tale to win, what I just told you when you're setting the ground rules, for the tale to win, the players must also love the tale. That is why their backstories, that is why their characters must be central to the tale. They must be important to the tale. They must be a part of the tale. You want them to go home having heard some secret about their character that none of the rest of the table knows, and they're emailing you going, I need to know more, I need to know more. Right? This is what brings them into the game, into the adventure, makes them more interested. It goes to things like role play as well. It goes to them engaging. Bring their characters into that tale. Make it important for each one of them. All right, now, create wonderful backstories with your players. I said that earlier. This is why I sometimes change them. So what I am going to try to do at Session 0 is, I'm getting ahead on my numbers, but I'm going to try to start all of my characters with some kind of relationship. I rarely now just say, hey, you all are in a tavern here. That doesn't happen really anymore. I create a much more deep and abiding backstory. Perhaps they all are young people who live in the same village. Perhaps they are part of a circle of fishermen or something like that. Perhaps they just got a ship altogether from some place. I'm going to bring a backstory that hopefully integrates them together. Common flaws, common mission. Yes, in one of the games that I'm running right now, 2 of the protagonists, my players, 2 of them are a son and nephew of a great adventurer. Yes, which was part of a great adventuring party many years ago. But that great adventurer also had friends, and some of the other players are involved in that regard. So there are different ways to weave them together a little more than I think most often think about doing. I prefer this. I think it builds for a better story and makes the players' characters a little more together. If you want to know more about that, I'd love an email. I'll tell you more about how I do these things. All right, let us move forward. Developing interesting NPCs. This was actually from Lawrence. He asked this. And I'm going to tell you that I think that NPCs are pivotal to... Do you have some questions, Mandy? Is that what you're looking at me like this?
No, we're having a few technical difficulties.
Oh, we're still having technical difficulties.
But we're going to keep going.
Can folks hear me? Should I talk louder?
We are good to go.
Good to go.
Yes.
Then I will continue. All right, my friends. Developing interesting NPCs, non-player characters. I think that non-player characters are pivotal to a great adventure. I also don't really like my player characters moving from area to area to area to area to area all the time. I like them to get to know people in their town, or people in the village, or people on the island, or wherever it happens to be. I like them to establish relationships with those people. That helps, because those people can have little adventures that they can bring to the adventurers as well. Yes, this is a nice thing, a marvelous thing, actually. And so I try to build memorable NPCs with a number of techniques. 1, I try for important NPCs to create either memorable and interesting names or simple names. Because really involved crazy names, which I do by the way, are harder for people to grasp and remember. So that's one thing. Secondly, I always try to think about personality and motivation of the NPC. And I don't do this for everyone. If you think about this, there's 60 or so NPCs, I believe, in Darkest Dream. We can't know all of them. The characters are not going to get into the depths of the motivations of each one of them and all that such. But the ones that matter, I try to understand what's happening. So Borag is a perfect example. Kalnase is a second perfect example. They are the Prema Bonduran of the Blue Veil Hanatal's troop. They are essentially the mother and father of all of those people. Adults, teenagers, children. They have great desire to protect them, to help them, to grow them. And in the circumstances that the Blue Veil face, they are very afraid for them. And so I bring these tensions to those non-player characters. Now, I also bring voices. Now, many of you struggle with this, I understand. I'm going to do a whole series on voices, on how you can develop voices, how you yourself can have 3 or 4 or 5 voices almost immediately right out of that series. And I'm going to do it soon. So stay tuned on that.
We actually have a request from Henry.
Henry!
He says, accents.
Well, Governor, I don't know what I'm doing down here today. Or I am Taras Sid. I am a supplicant of the Comity of the Unseen Star. Some of you have seen me do him. I am Mother Salvenza, and I want to tell you today, my dear Frenta, there is much danger here for us. I am Kalnase. I am a Prema Bonduran. I am the mother of this troop. None of you shall harm them. None of you, or I will kill you. Yes! How was that? Not bad. I've got a bunch more. Mathra McGillen. Hi, my dear boy. How you be doing today? It's good to see you. Ha! Would you like some whiskey now? See, these are the things you can do.
I also think it's important to point out that you did not start out as an actor.
Oh, no, not an actor. No, not at all.
All.
Yeah, this just happened behind the screen. And I did practice them. That's why I'm going to do a thing on voices for you all. So, and I'm talking to my normal voice right now so you can see. I really think most people think, oh gosh, I can't do voices. And I really think that most people can. So, promise you soon I'm going to do one of those so that people can get that. And like I said, I'm just a dude, okay? I'm just a dude who loves this game. And I started playing a long time ago, and I started trying to figure out how to make my game better. And now, I'm better, yes, and you can be too. I'm telling you, it is marvelous, and it is not that hard. In the old days, it was harder. Let me tell you why. You're driving along in your car, yes, and in those days, they didn't have all these tints all over the windows. You know what I'm saying? So you were fish bowling. Yes, you're driving along in your car, yes. Now, they did not have Bluetooth either. No Bluetooth. We didn't even have cell phones a long time ago. So you're driving along in your car practicing your voice. Ha! I am Alphinius Goo. Ha! I am Alphinius Goo. Ha! I am Alphinius Goo. And everyone driving by you thinks you're a nut. Yes, today you can get away with it. No problem. Let us continue. Tara asked about big battles. Yes, I have a few principles for that, but there is much more that needs to be taught on that subject. Big battles are difficult. You have lots of what I call slummos, cannon fodder, little goofballs that are basically just to absorb damage. How I do those? Remember, slummos. 1 hit, 1 kill. Done. All right? No keeping track of all those slummos. 1 hit, 1 kill, done. Now, there's a second group, okay? These are intermediate groups. They are, I don't know, maybe you have a bunch of goblins and now you have a group of orcs behind the bunch of goblins that are coming up, all right? Now, what you're going to do, let's say there are 10 gnolls. 10 gnolls, and each one of these gnolls has, say, 10 hit points. They have 100 hit points between all of them. Rather than keeping each gnoll's hit point underneath each one, literally, the killing blow that takes the first 10 hit points, the person who's playing that character, that figure or miniature or whatever you have there to represent it, the gnoll that is opposite that character goes down. Now you have 90 hit points. This is marvelous. You did not think about this. At least some of you didn't. Some of you may have been doing it for years. It's not my idea. It's others' ideas. Most of my ideas are other people's ideas. This is not a bad thing. This is how we all get better. Do you see how that works with intermediate groups? Now you don't have to have 10 different gnolls down on your paper. You just have 100 hit points. It goes to 90. The one that got killed right in front with the person who took the killing blow. I apologize. I'm sweating all over the place, cameraman. These lights are so hot. Anyway, I appreciate that, my dear. So you see this. This is nice, huh? Do people like this? I hope they do. Now, semi-bosses and bosses, run them just like they are. But I promise you, in those situations, as Tara said, where there is a poo ton of them, I think that number 1, single hit, single death, done, and grouping hit points, grouping into the intermediate groups will take care of much of those problems. We'll talk more about that in another one. Any questions?
I actually have some notes. First off, take a look at the comment section in here because people are chiming in with some really good suggestions.
Oh,
as well.
yes, absolutely.
So, like one of them that I really like is from Henry, and the way he keeps track is that Sam is Scottish, Frank is French, is it Igor or whatever, is Irish, and so he starts with the first letter of the name.
Very good.
Very clever.
I like that, Henry.
And then we have a request for the video that says it's hard to do build voices as a small girl. So how do we learn how to...
You mean being a little kid? It's really hard to do a voice as a little kid. I don't think it's that hard. I think you can do it. And I'm telling you, you can do it. Gee.
How?
Well, yeah, I can't do it all right now. Okay. I will do this video on voices soon. I promise we will do this video on voices. And we'll bring some other information, not just from me, but from other people who understand this and have done it. So, but yeah, you can do a little kid. You can also do a ghoul king. Yes, I am the ghoul king. He doesn't really go, but I did it anyway. But you understand what I'm saying. See, you can bring these different things. But if you also think about interesting voices that other people have, a long time ago there was an actor. His name was Peter Lorre, and he talked like this. And I haven't done Peter Lorre in a long time, by the way. But he talked kind of like this. I'm not doing him very well. Anyway, I'll do a video on voices and we'll take care of that, and I'll practice Peter Lorre between now and then. All right, what is next? Any questions?
No, we're good to go.
All right. Dealing with metagamers. This is from our friend Matt. So, first of all, if you've read our philosophy and house rules, you understand that this is first and foremost why we have monster variability in everything that we do. There is no monster second level, monster first level. Every monster has a nice range. And this makes sense. If you think about this in the real world, my friends, there are big, strong men like people who go play football and are on the offensive line. There are little weak people that just can't even fight their way out of a paper bag. This is the same way in the animal kingdom. It would be the same way in the monster kingdom. There would be really tough monsters, there'd be not so tough monsters, all in the same family. So there is no player ever at my table says, hey, wait a minute, that orc couldn't hit me. He needs a 20 to hit me. I'm saying, not this orc, sorry. So this is what you do. you bring this level variability, and that takes care of a lot of metagaming. Secondly, the rules lawyer. I don't have rules lawyers at my table. We already have prepped ahead of time. We've already set expectations. We've already discussed the fact that if I screw up a rule, we'll have a conversation about it later. But one thing I will not do, if I think I have screwed up a rule, I will not allow something seriously bad to happen to the party in that situation. If I'm sitting there at the table and there is any question in my mind that I have not done what I should do, pardon me, I don't want to sweat all over the paper. If there's anything in my mind that gives me the idea that possibly I might have missed a rule, there is no way my players are going to suffer for that possibility, even if that means giving them a break. I don't have a problem with that. It is better to be a player's GM than it is to be a killer GM. By miles. I'm telling you this. They will love your games more. They will enjoy your games more. That does not mean you're easy on them. That means you are a player's game master. Yes, that is what you do. Now, let us think about some other things. Rules lawyers I was talking about, I apologize. So, what I have done ahead of time is I have sat with all of them and say I might screw up these rules. Yes, I might mess this thing up. Be prepared for that. And we will deal with it in the next game session. So that takes care of the rules lawyers. So you've got the monster memorizers, you've got the rules lawyers, now you have the table talkers. Okay? Now again, if I have set expectations well ahead of time, I rarely at my table ever have to admonish someone about metagaming. My players do it. Because I basically set the standard that it's kind of cheating and it's kind of ruining the game for everyone else. And so literally my players are like, nope, stop, that's metagaming. That happens a lot. So again, this whole setting of the stage with your players ahead of time is so important. In fact, I need to do a series on that to explain kind of the steps that at least I take to do it. I'm sure other good GMs also do the same thing. Some of you do it yourselves. But this establishing of these ground rules and understanding of how it's going to work helps deter the problem. The other thing is trust. There is sort of a school of thought out there that it's the players against the game master. I have never believed this. I have believed that the game master's job is to effectuate the rules, to make sure that the rules are done properly and appropriately, make sure that the tale is told, and make sure that nemesis and adversaries are appropriately strong and can challenge the players. Because if this doesn't happen, there is no game. It's no fun, right? But I am not out to kill. In fact, I hurt when I kill a player's character. I don't like it. Makes me feel bad. Especially at my table where people get attached to their player characters because we've got backstories and all kinds of things running in the background. I had one situation one time where someone totally surprised me. They were going against a very powerful lich-like creature. And that person, literally, because he knew that the entire party was going to be destroyed, walked up right in front of that terrible lich-like creature and broke his artifactual staff. Yes, right over his knee. And that character died. No question. So did the terrible lich-like creature. Yes. But you know what I did? I'm not going to let that character go off into the ether. No. I'm going to build a whole story around it. And so that character actually went to the planes of the gods, actually met them, actually was told things that meant some importance to the campaign. And then, like that certain wizard I talked about who didn't want to go through that certain tunnel in the mountain, ha-ha! He came back! Yes, it was marvelous. Yes, everyone was blown away. It was incredible. You can't do that all the time. But these kinds of things help bring trust with your players that you're not out just trying to beat the snot out of their characters. Does that make sense? All right. I hope I helped with that. One more thing. Be unpredictable. That helps deal with metagamers as well. If they don't really know kind of what's happening or what's going on, and if you can keep them on the edge of their seat and on their toes, it's harder for them to sit back and think, well, this sucks, man. I don't like this, right? That's how you sort of deal with them. There's much more to be spoken of on this, but this is a good primer on it. I hope it helped. Camera Mandy, you have a question?
I have a couple things. First off, I missed a question earlier, which was Dungeons & Dragons has been around over 40 years. Describe in your words how you think the game has grown.
Yes. So, I must tell you that in some ways I think it has grown exponentially and marvelously. But in other ways, it has actually somewhat digressed. And I think that part of the problem, in the old days when I was young, computer games virtually did not exist. You understand this? They virtually did not exist. There were a few, but they were very, very slow, and many of them were word-based or very low graphic quality. This game blew our imaginations away. We told tales and stories and all manner of things. Now, if you think about the evolution of the game, part of the evolution of the game is problematic because there is a profit motive behind it. And first edition moving to second edition was a marvelous upgrade to the game. I believe it was. But thereafter, there were some certain things that happened that I'm sure many of you will agree, not all of you. And that's okay, we can disagree. There were certain things that happened between that third and fourth editions, where literally it seemed like someone somewhere was trying to turn this marvelous role-playing, fantasy, tale-telling story game into a tabletop combat game. Yes, this happened, you know this. I think that was devolutionary, not evolutionary, by any stretch of the imagination. The other things that happened over the course of time is that people were more exposed to video games and very, very deep. I mean, some of you, I'm sure, have played Baldur's Gate. What a marvelous, marvelous game. It was wonderful, you know. And now they have a new one coming out. I'm pretty excited about it. Got to see what happens with that. Anyway, point being, we began to think more as the game in terms of sort of this same sort of thing, right? And if you think about some of these computer games, they're all about loot. They're all about reward. And there is so much more to be rewarded with in the game beyond just loot. There is achieving objectives. There is solving mysteries. There is saving loved ones. There are tantamount millions of ideas that bring so much more satisfaction, honestly, than my character can beat up y'all's. Okay? I'm telling you the truth. That is some of my concern about what has happened more recently in the game. This idea that loot is sort of the all thing. Now, many of the people who are probably watching tonight don't believe that. I have these marvelous conversations with you on our Facebook or wherever, where we speak to this. Now, on the other side, what has been evolutionary? The breadth of content that has come out, the marvelous authors that have brought so many innovative, interesting ideas, the breadth of this game with so many more people playing, so you have all this wonderful concoction. I mean, I learn right now from people on that Facebook who come on there and say interesting things and give me sparks of imagination. This is marvelous. This could not have happened in my day. Not even possible when I was a young man. And so, as I said to you earlier, we must be lifelong learners. We must embrace these things. So I think that the good news is that this new edition is much more back to where it was a long time ago. And that is marvelous, because this is not a tabletop war game. This is a fantasy role-playing game. And that is marvelous. I hope that answered. Do you think so, Camera Mendy?
I think that was
all right.
answer.
Anything else?
Yeah, I have a few things.
Let us go.
Okay, someone had a funny comment. They said, try DMing for a table of 8-year-olds, not any monster memorizers or rule breakers, but definitely a bunch of table talkers. And I will say that
That's marvelous.
This goes hand in hand with another question that we had. How do you handle the lollygaggers who like to build dice towers and never really take the game seriously and are ruining this particular game session for the other players? Oh, and they had some funny suggestions. Grab a broom.
Yes, go clean the toilets. Haha. Yes, listen. As I said earlier, I don't play with jerks. I won't do it. There are people who sit down at that table who want to have a wonderful time. They kind of want to sort of leave real life for a while and tell a marvelous tale. They want to be part of that thing. I am not going to allow one person to ruin that for the rest of us. I do my best to keep engagement up, and I'm going to talk about engagement in another video sometime soon as well. Engagement requires you to use that toolbox. You remember some of the things I talked about earlier with taking those tools and breaking them out when you can feel the energy at the table falling. These kind of things help. But if someone is perpetually on their phone or perpetually building dice towers, I will ask them to leave the game. Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Hold on 1 second. 8-year-olds. Don't ask them to leave the game. Let them run all over the place and do whatever their crazy imaginations want them to do. It is marvelous. Marvelous. Yes, marvelous.
I love it.
So,
I'm coming with it. Unmute it.
We
Quick.
are at 7:36.
Oh, we need to go. We need to start. Just unmute it.
yep, you're good.
All right. I heard I was muted, and people were asking about the announcement. Yes. Here is my announcement, my friends. Gooey Cube is not your average company. We are a bunch of crazy people who want to make awesome games. We want to tell tales with our players. We also want to tell tales with our friends, with our fans. We are going to create a contributors group. I don't know all the specifics about it, but it is something I have dreamed about for many years. For those of you who are involved with the Game Masters, the Gooey Game Masters Den of Enlightenment, if you will come there and you will participate and you will be a part of this community, we would invite you to be a part of our contributors. There is no cost to this. This isn't some strategy for marketing or whatever you want to call it. There's actually benefits to it. I'm not sure what all of those benefits will be, but there's certainly things like discounts on our products and other kinds of things for being a part of this. Because I believe that out there, right now, you're sitting there at the table and you have a marvelous character that you created long ago. A character that you can't share with anyone other than your table. I want you to be able to share that character with the people who live in the world of Zyathé. I think there are people out there that have a marvelous shop in a city, or an interesting tavern, or a strange locality that has been admired by their table. I believe this exists all over the place, and their table loved it. But only their table will ever get to see it. No, my friends, if this works the way I hope that it will work, you will be able to bring that place, that locality, to the world of Zyathé, and have it be a part of that. So, all of you who have been part of the DM's Den of Enlightenment, all of you will, over time, if you are a contributing member, receive an invitation to be a part of this group and bring your ideas. I don't know how it's going to work yet, but I have some ideas that I think will work. We're not asking you to be authors. You do not all have to be Stephen King with your writing abilities. You just need to have an idea, a wonderful thing that you want to bring, and perhaps it will live in the weirded world. You like this? I know. That is my announcement. Now, we are at 7:36.
Just for people who don't know what the Den of Enlightenment is.
Oh, yes. Yes, goblins. Yes, gooey goblins.
Yep.
Can you please put that link in there to how to get to it's a Facebook closed group. You must put in a request to be added to the group in there, and then you will be added, unless you have some really weird stuff on your Facebook page or something. we might not add you, but most people don't have that, so it's good. Yes, come join us. Come bring something to a world that is fresh and unique and wonderful and terrifying. Yes, that is Zyathé. That is the weirded world. So should we stop? We have more questions?
Let me check. We do have like a couple more questions if
Yes.
you want to do the
Yes,
rest
and
of the
folks,
questions.
do not feel like you need to stay. You have been marvelous. I thank you so much for being here tonight. If you wish to leave, but I'll answer a few more questions and then we'll shut it down.
Absolutely.
Aha!
Okay. Also, just for anybody who's not part of the Den, it is a really wonderful group.
It's marvelous.
Especially for DMs, but I'm sure players would get enjoyment out of it. And they do things like writing prompts and all sorts of other really fun, interesting things. And you get to meet a lot of really cool people from around the world.
They are marvelous.
Yes. Okay. Does the blood touch go as far as affecting their voice?
It can, or it cannot. This is all part of the wonderment. What we wanted to do with the blood touch. See, there is a situation in the game world that people want to play an interesting character. And so what this tends to create is suddenly a new race And suddenly there are new races everywhere. There are races and they don't make sense. Why did they come to being? They're here, they're there, they're everywhere. And that for us didn't quite feel right. It didn't feel real. But the blood touch allows a breadth of character creation that allows individuality of look, individuality of personality, individuality of action. Yes, and that is why we created the blood touch. We think it is wonderful, and we think it is interesting, and we think that it is different. And it will also give you as a game master plenty of room to move, and give your players plenty of room for their imaginations to bloom. Yes? I hope you like that.
I have some comments about the announcement that you just made.
Yes.
This makes me get cold chills, y'all. I'm so stoked about this. Together we can craft some marvelous things. And yeah, people are really excited about the idea. So I just wanted to share that and say thank you guys. We're excited that you guys are excited.
Marvelous. I would appreciate, I know we'd had a technical difficulty, but I would very much appreciate that you give us feedback on this, how we did. Do not pull any punches. We want to be good. We want to give you good information. If I'm boring you, tell me I'm boring you and tell me how I can not bore you. If Camera Mandy's totally screwing up the camera work, let us know. It's on a tripod and hasn't even moved, so she can't really be screwing it up very much. Oh, it moved once. Aha! Anyway, thank you, my friends, from the bottom of our hearts. We love this gooey thing that is starting here. We don't know what's going to happen, but we are not stopping. We are going to continue on and make this adventure for all of us wonderful and amazing. Is that it, Camera Mandy?
I have one final question that I think is a good one to go out on.
Yes.
When are you going to start streaming your games so we can watch these principles in action?
We have talked about this, my friends. This is a big commitment on not just my part, but the parts of our players and people who want to be there. And we do not want to do it unless we're going to be good. I think it is going to happen. I do not think it is going to happen in the next few weeks, but I think it could happen next year. We have practice. We have different players who might want to take part in this. We're talking to some partners about how we work together and do some special things. And anyway, it's a great question, and it is something we are seriously pondering. I would love to do it. I think that there are tales to be told that I would like to tell. Let us see what happens. My friends, you are in the Gooey Cube. Are there any other questions, Camera Mandy?
No? We're good to go.
Then you have a wonderful evening, and may all your adventures be sticky.